Alrighty, greetings and various assorted salutations. This is... what is this? Well, I'm playing Monster Hunter Rise right now, and the purpose of this video is a pedagogy review. This pedagogy review will go over the spring of 2021 semester, kind of an after-the-action review of things. It's been a few weeks since the semester ended, and I've had time to think about things, look over some stuff, kind of draw some conclusions, and, well, relax a bit, because it's summertime. And so I want to get this video done sooner than later, because, well, the thoughts are fresh in my head, and also so that I can be done with it and move on with my summer. Since the reviews of the pedagogy reviews, pedagogy rants, people have indicated, oh yeah, they like watching video game footage. So I figured, yeah, we'll continue that tradition. What we're going to be looking at, what I'm going to be doing on the screen, playing the video game, is I'm working on acquiring Kamakura points. So the hunts won't be that hard, I just need to do a bunch of them so that I can unlock various gear, equipment, and whatnot. But you can only do low-rank quests. And I've already beaten the game. I'm trying to reach Hunter rank 100. So that's kind of a bit annoying, to be brutally honest.
How are you today?
But I have to kind of do these older quests, because you can see I've already cleared them all. But anyways, this is not about the video games, that's just the background footage.
Which quest would you like?
But... yeah, that'll do.
Be careful out there.
So, Pedagogy Rant, Spring 2021. What can we talk about Spring 2021? Well, I taught only one course this spring, and that was U.S. History 2. Now, in case you don't know, U.S. History 2, where I teach it anyways, covers pretty much, it covers after the American Revolution, or American Civil War, excuse me. We start with westward expansion and the Industrial Revolution, and then we go all the way up through the Great Depression and New Deal. We don't get to World War II, but we cover World War I. That's how that works. But no. So it's a course required for graduation, which means any and all students who pass through this school will eventually wind up in the U.S. History 2 classroom. So it's kind of one of those general courses that everyone needs to take at some point.
This'll be easy.
Now, since it's spring 2021, what we're looking at is some different factors. At the start of the semester, we weren't sure, and then when I was planning the semester, there were a lot of unknowns. Like, what is COVID going to be doing? How is the schools going to be functioning at that point in time? And so there's a great deal of unknowns and worries. Because we just simply did not know what to expect. And so we had to essentially plan accordingly. Oh, I forgot to eat something before the quest. Oh well, increase the challenge. Let's see here. But no, so we had a lot of different things to contend with. Well, let's talk about what worked and what didn't work in this thing.
Be careful.
Ooh, gotta watch out for that one. So, one of the things that I planned a lot for in this semester was protocol standards, like what to do every day when you walk into the classroom. I had a set routine. What you needed to do to turn in assignments, I standardized that process. I computerized things. because that was an important feature to use in the course. Is I wasn't sure what to expect, and so I had to plan for a lot of different scenarios that may or may not have happened. So turning in assignments, fixing technical problems, what to do when you walk in the classroom. I also had protocols for what to do if we went to remote learning, what to do if people were quarantined. Things like that. So there were a lot of things. So the big successes that I really observed. Ooh, fun. A lot of success I observed was kind of protocols. Those worked out great. Things like the protocols for what to do when you walk in the classroom. Students always knew what to do and when they needed to do it in class. And so that was a great deal of success there. The other thing that I had a great deal of success with is using the learning management system. And so I switched to Canvas. I've been using Canvas for a while, but I used the Canvas learning management system to kind of centralize all of the learning activities. Students could get assignments there, they could get instructions there, they could turn in everything, ask questions and communicate with me, and access things like the textbook in there. And so that was a great deal of success, was getting the learning management system in there, because once the students knew how to use it, they more or less knew what to do. The content changed every day, what we were learning changed over time, but the systems we used, they worked. Particularly Canvas announcements were particularly useful, because I could post announcements like this assignment's due this day, or students were running into this common problem over and over, whether it was technical or on an academic subject. I could post information there. I posted information about my class Zoom meetings in there. And so Canvas announcements were remarkably successful.
I did it!
That is true. I agree with her. Another thing I had a great deal of success with was the attendance checker. I developed a kind of entry slip bell ringer activity that was where students would report, okay, this is what I'm working on today. This is, it was a form that they filled out on the computer where they could answer some questions like, what am I working on today? What assignment am I working on today? They could ask me questions because what I discovered is there's some students who they will never come up to you and ask you a question like vocally, but if they have a messaging system, they'll use that. In some cases, for some reason, it was novel, and that created interest. So I got some stuff in the attendance checker that allowed me to address student concerns and problems and questions very effectively. Of course, some people had some fun with it, which I will admit was a good idea. On multiple occasions, people would post in the questions and comments section the B-movie script. Some people saw the attendance checker as a place to dump their memes, I guess, which that was fine too. Very amusing, but it worked out that way.
Dongo are a taste of heaven. Here's the quest list.
Yeah, this'll do.
Good luck.
Let's change weapons. But no, so the attendance checker for some people is a lot of fun. It was always kind of a practical thing because students knew at the start of the day, start filling that out, and then we'll go from there. No, so the attendance checker was remarkably successful. Standardization of formats was another thing. Once I figured out, okay, the assignments change, but how you turn stuff in doesn't really need to change. It's kind of like the turn-in box when we do physical assignments. I computerized a lot of stuff, and so to make it easier for students, I made sure to always offer instructions on how to do everything. And I try to have multiple formats of the same instructions. Like I could vocally give the instructions, or I could vocally give instructions. I also had instructions written down on the computer. I would also have, sometimes I had video instructions that students could use. So the idea was, if I standardize things, I can help students out by making sure that you may not know like the history concepts, but you know that when you can focus on learning the history content and the turn-in process won't change. So that was a very, very successful thing I did. That went great, and students really bought into that and enjoyed that. I suppose the thing to talk about now is things that did not work. Ooh, you see something here. Things that did not work out as well. One of the variables, and I think this was just a general problem that we ran into, is there was low morale.
I'm gonna create a diversion. There it is. Thanks, buddy.
But low morale is something. A lot of students were kind of...
This one's gonna hit hard.
Oh, he dodged it. There we go. But I mean, it's just a rough semester. This, like, our school, I don't know, everyone,
I've got a surprise.
oh, that actually hit. But, there we go. But I mean, school during COVID time is just more tiring. I know that was definitely the case for teachers, and I think for students as well. Ouch.
Here it comes. You're a lifesaver.
But no, so morale was always an issue because students were tired.
Feeling so well.
There was often a sense of this semester doesn't feel real. I don't know, because that was another thing that people ran into. Was, you know, COVID just creates this kind of very surreal feeling in schools because people were in and out. There was always this worry about being in and out. Everyone has their masks on. I don't know. It just kind of was a big stressor on a lot of people. One of the problems I ran into is tech fatigue as well. I had a number of students who they didn't. You know, we talk about teenagers and we talk about students loving technology, and I don't think that's quite the way people imagine it. At least in my experience, that isn't quite how it worked. Because what I encountered is a lot of people like technology for entertainment purposes. In day-to-day use, they weren't necessarily as comfortable or happy with it. And so I had a number of students who did not like using technology that much, or they would turn in assignments later I did it! Because it just kind of, there's this lack of a tactile sense, which studies have shown that's true. People still prefer physical books because there's this feeling of like the weight of reading the book, the turning of the page, the physicality of things. Virtual stuff is just kind of, I don't know, what's the word, abstract? So that was kind of one of the other things, is we had tech fatigue. But One of the other things that didn't work out quite as well, pedagogy-wise, was student choice activities. I just didn't have as much time to organize those or make them run as effectively as I would have liked. And I think that was partially due to there was so much work put into making things just work correctly that I wasn't able to factor in student choice near as much as I would like, or probably as much as the students would have liked. Creating alternative activities, covering the content in multiple ways. I was focused on stability, consistency, and making sure things just worked. That was the big challenge with that one. Moving on to the next quest.
Which quest would you like?
Let's see here.
Don't forget to eat.
But no, so that was kind of one of the big issues, is there just wasn't as much independent choice that I would have liked in the course. And that's just kind of one of those unfortunate problems that I want to fix that for next year. I really want to fix that for next year. Have more student choice. Another thing that I ran into is there were a lot of students who they didn't particularly like interacting with the technology, and since a lot of stuff was done through computers, often communications were ignored. There's an adaptation challenge, I think. A lot of students aren't used to checking a school email account, and this was one of those professional things that just takes time to adapt to, because we went years where, yeah, the students had an email account, but we didn't really run a whole lot through it that was absolutely essential. And so a lot of students were just not used to checking their email on a regular basis. And so there was an adaptation issue with that as well. That was always a challenge. And so, like, you could send an email with a reminder, hey, you need to turn in your assignment, or hey, there's something wrong with the thing you turned in. It didn't work as well as we'd hoped. And they didn't necessarily get it because they weren't used to checking their email for that. But, no. One thing that is worth mentioning, moving on from things that didn't work, is talking about things that were not a factor as much as we anticipated in the planning process. One of the things I talked about it extensively in I believe in my last pedagogy rant over what I was anticipating for spring, and that was I was anticipating people being in and out of quarantine, which was an issue that I never addressed as well as I'd hoped in fall 2020. And so I developed all these protocols and checklists and ways of keeping track of these things. And then lo and behold, not many people actually got quarantined. That's, I guess, just the way things go. So I did use it a few times, but not nearly as much as I anticipated. The other thing that I had planned a lot for, and it didn't come to fruition or become a necessity, was level changes. I anticipated we'd be going between level 1, level 2, level 3, which in our school district, the levels were,
I'll have some of this.
you know, in school all the time, half the students on campus, half not on campus, things like that, or completely remote learning, and we just didn't change levels the entire semester, if I recall correctly. So
This is gonna be easy.
the level changes that I planned for were not a variable that I had to worry about.
Over here.
Oh, is he gonna run away? Come on. running. So planning for much more complicated issues was something that didn't come up. I'm glad we didn't change levels. It provided a great deal of stability that we just did not have last spring. It was just something that didn't amount to anything. To kind of talk about the semester in general, I would say that overall things worked out fairly well. There was a lot of students who struggled with various things, and that's unfortunately expected. But, no. I think the thing that's worth talking about now in this next portion of the video is to talk about plans for the future. So there were a lot of things that didn't quite work out as well as I'd hoped. To talk about the future. This is just cool. I haven't seen this particular battle before. But to talk about the future semester, there we go. To talk about the future semester, I want to incorporate more blended learning. Come on. But no, I want to incorporate more blended learning. For COVID, pure COVID, I wanted to make sure that everything was accessible, and I wanted to do stuff on the computer because I wasn't sure what was going to happen. Oh. But I want to incorporate more physical stuff, more computer stuff. I'm going to keep computerization in there. Don't get me wrong. And I'm going to make sure that all my assignments are accessible on my learning management system, because being able to just look up, okay, what do we do on any given day on the computer from anywhere is really useful. But go. But no, so I want to have more paper assignments, use more physical stuff.
Thanks, buddy.
Because it looks like next year is going to be a fairly normal semester. At least that's the plan on paper. COVID is not considered as major of a threat right now in this area. There's a lot of concerns still, but there's a lot of things people want to go back to normal. So that's another thing I'm looking forward to, is less COVID complexity. Oh. It's going all the way over there? Okay. less COVID complexity will be appreciated. This is, I would say, one thing that every teacher involved who's been in education for this year is this has been the most tiring year that people have been running into. Because it just takes more energy, more planning. I appreciate that aspect. I've learned to plan better than I've ever planned before. But I'll enjoy less COVID challenge. I also want to incorporate project-based learning. I'm thinking of finally refining and carrying out the virtual museum project correctly. That'd be something to talk about in a separate video. Ouch. Ooh, that was good. Oh, he's running. Of course he's running. So, more project-based learning, blended learning would be nice. But yeah, there's a lot we can improve on. Lessons I'd take away from COVID, I guess things I'd take away from the COVID semesters, is I'm really glad I got better and better at planning, developing standard practices, because I think that really helped me. I know I'm better prepared on any given day thanks to this. He's gonna yell. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate the technology, because I just did not have access to computers, and students did not have access to computers in the way that we did before. I think I'm getting a bit rambly, but I wanted to finish out that hunt. But no, so this has been Pedagogy Rant, Spring 2021. It worked out in the end. It was a rough time. I'd say I didn't have as rough of a time as other teachers, and that's because I was able to plan accordingly, use technology effectively, and, well, hopefully some people learn some stuff. In any case, I hope you found this interesting, and until later, I guess.